to Burnout Relief, Shifting Your Motivation. My name is Gina Covarrubias. I am an engineering life coach. My business is called Deliberate Doing. My website is deliberatedoing.com. And in a nutshell, what I do is I help engineers and other technical professionals fix their careers. And let's face it, there are a lot of ways that a career can go wrong. Everything from, I don't know what the heck I want to do and I feel lost, to, I'm kind of satisfied with what I'm doing, but I feel like there's something missing, and everything in between. So I'm the person that will help you figure out what is wrong. So welcome to my first webinar of the year. It's 2022 already. Can you believe that? All right, let's see if I can, here we go. What I'm going to teach you tonight is one mental strategy to help you mitigate burnout and to feed yourself energy to lead you in a positive direction. And before I get to the main content, I think it's important to talk to you about the definition of burnout, because I think different people have different ideas of what it means to them. And so for the context of this presentation for tonight, when I say burnout, I'm including all of these things here on this slide: overworking, or people pleasing, or having to work with difficult people all the time, disengagement from your job, going through an existential crisis. How many people do we know that have done that recently or are going through one right now? Working from home has brought up a lot of things. Boundaries is one of them. Exhaustion, as I mentioned. And the last one, the last bullet, my results don't reflect my effort. I feel like that's a common complaint I hear from a lot of people. They feel like they put in so much work and they work so hard, but they're not seeing a payoff. So for tonight, burnout means all of these things. And another important thing I'd like to say before I start my presentation is that there are many different ways that we can tackle burnout for ourselves. And what I've listed here on this slide are some of the tools available to you. And there are many great free tools out there. And the important thing to remember is that not one solution fits every person. So I would encourage you, if you are struggling from burnout, or if you suspect you are, try different tools, try different resources, try different things, and try to figure out what works well, what you gravitate to, maybe what doesn't work so well for you. So for example, when I look at this list, I don't really use positive affirmations. They don't do anything for me, but I know that they work for other people. So I want you to remember that what I'm going to talk about tonight is one tool you can use among many others, and it may or may not resonate with you. So the bottom tool, redirecting your motivation, is what I'm going to teach you tonight. Now let's look at our very short outline. I'm going to teach you how to shift your motivation, the motivation that you already have, to optimize your energy. And I know some of you are telling yourselves, I'm really not motivated, or I don't feel motivated right now. But I would like to challenge you to rethink that belief, because if you're going to work and doing your job, you're motivated. Something is motivating you to keep going. Now, it may not feel good, so we're going to talk about that today. In section 1, I'm going to define to you what I mean by outcomes or external rewards. I kind of use those synonymously in this presentation. And then on the flip side, in section 2, I'm going to define for you what I mean by effort and internal reward. So those will be shorter sections. In section 3, I'm going to talk to you about what is nicknamed the molecule of motivation. And then we're going to put everything together. So section 3 is really where the heart of this content is tonight. And I'll wrap it up with a wonderful conclusion that I hope will make sense to you. I'd like to start with this quote. Self-development is less about learning new skills as it is about discovering ourselves by giving something up, including some of our most cherished notions of the person we think we are in order to discover the person we could become. And I have shared this in other presentations, and I love this quote because part of what I'm going to do tonight is to help you challenge some beliefs that you currently have so that you could maybe let go of the beliefs that are not serving you well to make space for new beliefs that will help move you forward. So tonight is very much about a mental exercise. So I hope you're ready. Okay, let's get going. Section 1, what do I mean by outcomes and external reward? Outcomes and external rewards include some of the things I've listed here. Wanting praise at work, wanting recognition, really wanting that promotion and working hard for it, wanting a raise and a bonus. And I used to fall in that category. Money was very important to me when I used to work in corporate as an engineer. Sometimes we seek perks or special treatment. Sometimes we seek certain grades. We think that a grade in a class is everything. Some of us simply want to keep our employment. And that's what's motivating us right now, and it kind of feels crappy. Some of us seek a job offer. So these things are all outside of you. And what I mean by that is they don't happen inside your brain. They happen outside in the world around you. You do not have control over it. You can't take the steering wheel and steer your way to a specific outcome. Because let's face it, no matter how hard you work, no matter how much you sacrifice your sleep or time with family, at the end of the day, it's not your decision if you get that raise or if you get that recognition, if you get that award. Somebody else is going to determine that for you. So that's really important to know about outcomes or external rewards. Some of us pursue outcomes and external rewards because we're afraid, or because we feel pressure, or because we're really desperate, or because our egos get in the way and we want to prove a point, either to ourselves or to someone else. Some of us pursue external reward because we're attached to our career. We cling on to it. We're afraid to let it go for many different reasons. And some of us are simply threatened. We might feel threatened by our direct management, or we might be creating this threat inside of our heads. But I like this picture here on this slide because I do feel like there are many people I have talked to lately who are holding on for dear life. They're holding on to their jobs for dear life, or they're holding on to their position or to their reputation or whatever it may be. Now, achieving a specific outcome or an external reward is temporarily satisfactory. If you do get that raise, if you do get that recognition, it makes you feel good, right? For most of us, it does. But unfortunately, that relief or that satisfaction can go away very quickly. And that can happen when our original motivations start creeping up again. That fear or that pressure or that desperation. So maybe you know somebody in this position, or you have experienced this yourself, where you work your butt off and you sacrifice sleep and you spend less time with your family, working really hard to meet a deadline and get something done. And then you turn it in and the boss says, great job, love what you did. And then you feel relief. And then they turn around the next day or the next week and double your work. And they give you more and they give you more because they realize, hey, if I give work to this person, they're going to get it done. I can count on them. So they might try to overload you. So what I want you to take away from this section is that consistent desire for external reward can lead you to the common dilemma of asking yourself, do I keep repeating this vicious cycle, or is there something I need to change? To end this section, I want you to think about these two questions. First of all, to what degree do you think you're motivated by outcomes or external rewards? And then I want you to think about what is the intent behind your motivation for these external rewards or for these outcomes. This is an important takeaway. I'd like you to think about this right now and later on when you have a few moments to yourself. To what extent are you motivated by externals? All right, let's move on and look at the other side of the coin. We're going to talk about internal rewards. In other words, effort. Now that includes some of the things I've listed here. That includes the fact that you evolve and progress as a human. It involves striving to meet certain goals. It includes defeating obstacles and challenges that come your way. Effort and internal reward include being emotionally mature, and that is not an easy thing to do for some of us. It includes continuous learning, commitment to yourself, and self-praise. There's nothing wrong with praising yourself. And in fact, I encourage it. I think it's a healthy habit. And my favorite example of effort and internal reward is the one in bold. Genuine pursuit of stepping into your next best self. What I want you to remember about internal rewards is that they exist inside of you. In other words, they are up in here inside your brain. They are completely 100% within your control. You get to decide what a reward looks like for you. So you get to take control of the wheel. Now, in our journey to achieve and to be more productive, because I feel in our society, we put an emphasis on achievement and being productive and how to be more productive and how to achieve more. I think our society talks about that way too much. And in our journeys to become successful or more productive, we dismiss or ignore certain things, like number one, successes and failures. We tend to want to shove the failures under the rug or ignore them because they don't feel good. And for those of you who might suffer from some imposter syndrome, you dismiss your successes. We dismiss or ignore lessons learned. We dismiss or ignore our efforts and the investments that we've made to take this journey in order to achieve something. It's easy for us to dismiss or ignore knowledge and mistakes that we have made, knowledge that we've learned along the way. And we also like to dismiss discomfort. For most of us, being uncomfortable, whether it's by failing or getting awkward praise or whatever it may be, many of us like to forget about that discomfort we feel. And I'm here to tell you that that's something you should try to cherish and value, because discomfort is a sign of growth. The takeaway here is that effort and genuine pursuit can promote a sustainable internal reward system for yourself. Now, I want you to think about this question as your takeaway. To what degree are you motivated by effort or genuine pursuit? And the word genuine here is very important. I put it in bold for a reason. Genuine pursuit is pursuit that you want for yourself. It's pursuit and effort out of positive feelings because you want to do it, because you're eager to do it, because you're motivated to do it, not because you're fearful, not because you're threatened, not because you're desperate. Now that leads us to section 3. We're going to talk about the molecule of motivation, and the chemical structure is here. All of us have a molecule of motivation inside of us, and it can turn up in the form of mental energy. And it is classified as a neurotransmitter in the world of science. And it signals to the brain, this feels good. This is a feel-good neurotransmitter. And it says, let's do this again. So I'm going to help you answer the question, how can I be more motivated? And some of you might know what this molecule is. It is called dopamine. And what I'd like to introduce in the next couple slides is a motivational strategy that you can use to direct dopamine toward consistent replenishment in a self-serving manner. It is very possible for us to do that. Again, I'm not saying this is easy, and it is a mental exercise, but it is possible. And let's talk about how. There is one main way that you can direct dopamine that I'm going to talk about here on the next two slides, and that's externally. So if we start at the left on the slide, when we direct dopamine to our externals, that means we're giving credit to our external rewards. That means we're consistently seeking specific outcomes because we think they're going to make us feel good. We become satisfied when things happen that are outside of us. Okay, that's an external reward system. So let's look on the right in this table. I have one random example of a performance review that most people would get, I would say, on a yearly basis. If you tell yourself, I feel great about my performance review because either I got the raise I wanted, or two, they must really value me, or number three, all that hard work got me this great score, or maybe number four, management really likes me. If these are the types of things you're telling yourself and believing about your performance review that went well, you are giving credit to externals. Now, why is this important? Why do we care? Because chasing externals leads you to chase more. And the way it works in this example is, number one, you work your butt off for the whole year leading up to your performance review. Number two, you like your outcome. It feels good. You got a good review. Number three, you pay tribute to all the externals. And then your brain says, wow, this is great. I like this. Let's do this again. Let's work our butt off for the next year as hard as we can to get another good review because it felt so good. As you can see with this example, if you rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat, striving for that great reward that only happens once a year, you could burn yourself out. So that's one demonstration of how burnout can happen. Now, a second way you can direct your dopamine is by creating an internal reward system. So you give credit to yourself. You seek genuine pursuit, and you like that about yourself. You become satisfied when you experience internal progress, whether it's discomfort or failing or succeeding. You do your best for the sake of doing your best. Now, here is the same example of a performance review, except you feel good about it, not because of the externals, but because of the internals that are going on. You tell yourself, man, I gained a lot of knowledge despite all those mistakes I made. There are always opportunities in this job for me to improve myself. I really savor my work ethic and my effort. I'm improving my ability to get along with people. I know that it's something I need to work on, but I'm improving it. And I like that about myself. In this case, credit is given to internal effort and recognition. And why is this important? Because it leads to you promoting more internal reward. And what happens is your brain says, wow, this feels good. I really like it. Let's do this again. And then you go out and you pursue and you give your best effort and you build your work ethic. Why? Not because of the externals, but because it feels good to you. A byproduct of using this internal reward system is that honestly, when you get your performance review, you may not really even care what the outcome is. It's not going to matter as much to you because you know in your heart of hearts that you made progress and that you did your best. So the takeaway here is that smaller, steady doses of dopamine due to intrinsic rewards are much more sustainable. At a glance, here is a quick comparison of external versus internal reward systems. If you have an external reward system, you attach to outside circumstances and you cling to things that are outside of you. If you have an internal reward system, you attach yourself to your internal effort. If you have an external reward system, you give credit to things outside of you, as opposed to the internal reward system, you give credit to your genuine pursuit. If you have an external reward system, you will probably be unhappy until you reach that major goal or achievement that you want. Whereas an internal reward system gives you smaller but more consistent rewards. A scarcity mindset is often common with an external reward system. And by scarcity, I mean you take action from negative emotion, fear, desperation, threat, and so on, as opposed to an internal reward system where you have an abundant mindset, where you want to do things, you're eager to do things, you want to do them for the sake of learning. And then last, in an external reward system, you do not own that reward system at all. You're putting it in the hands of other people and outside circumstances. As opposed to the internal reward system, you completely own your rewards. Here is a quick summary of the 3 sections that we talked about today. Section 1, an external reward system focuses on outcomes that can promote burnout. And I did insert the word overemphasize because I do believe, again, that our society overemphasizes external rewards. In section 2, I taught you that an internal reward system focuses on genuine pursuit, and that can help you relieve burnout. It can help you mitigate burnout. It can help you fight burnout. And if you get really good at it, burnout goes away. So external rewards, as good as they might feel, they're really just surface level stuff. It's the internal rewards, the intrinsic ones, that really matter. Here is my conclusion for tonight. This is a quote from Dr. Andrew Huberman. He has a podcast, a wonderful podcast. He is a Stanford University professor. And in this YouTube interview, he says, if you're constantly in pursuing external goals, it will wear your nervous system down. You will be exhausted. One will eventually run aground. You'll become mentally depressed. If you're interested in watching this 19-minute interview that he did, I've included the link here at the bottom of the slide. And having said that, I want to revisit the slide that I showed you earlier. There are many other tools to help you tackle burnout. I challenge you to try different things and try to come up with a formula that works for you. And what I taught you tonight was one tool about how you can redirect your motivation so that it's self-serving and so that it is energy begetting and not energy depleting. And also I highlighted boundary setting because I think people understand, I think they intellectually, they understand what a boundary is, but they just don't know how to execute. So I may come up with a webinar next month that talks about boundaries and boundary setting. If you have any input or if you have any insights or comments about boundaries, if there's something you'd like me to talk about, please let me know. I always welcome your suggestions and comments. And I will leave you with one of my favorite quotes by Epictetus. He's a Stoic philosopher. Clinging to borrowed goods is a recipe for pain. Now on my website, deliberatedoing.com, I have free resources such as videos like this and a career blog. I offer free strategizing for anybody out there who might want to bounce ideas off me or try to figure out where they're going next. And I have a couple of events coming up in February.